G'day guys and welcome back to Ados the Great YouTube channel. Whoa, my camera is stuffing up today. So in today's video guys, we're going to be checking out my, I guess you could say, most improved player predictions for 2022. Now guys, let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you agree with my takes, or do you think that there's other players that are going to be more improved than the ones I'm listing? Now some teams will have an honourable mention because I think there's a couple of players that are very close that could be the most improved player. But for now, we're going to jump in. We're going to check out my list of the most improved player predictions for 2022. Starting off with the Brisbane Broncos, we've got fullback Tessie New. Now, I think Tessie is going to have an amazing season this year. I think he's going to cement that fullback role. We know Brisbane have really been umming and ahhing who their fullback was going to be over the last few years. You know, they've had Jermaine Asako, Tessie New as one, Sulan Cobbo. So there's been a few players thrown up there that could slot into that fullback role, but I think Tessie New is going to make that position his this year. He'll get that position and he will absolutely kill it for the Broncos in that position. Now, one honourable mention I do have for the Broncos is Albert Kelly. I'm assuming Albert Kelly will probably get the lock for 5'8" at the start of the season, so he should round one be named 5'8" next to Adam Reynolds. And I think if he is named 5'8", he's going to play a similar role to what Cody Walker did on the Rabbitohs. So I think obviously they're two completely different. Cody Walker's leagues above Albert Kelly, but I think Albert Kelly can sort of slot in and play a similar role to what Cody does for the Rabbitohs, I should say. So yes, my most improved player for the Broncos, Tessie New, but honourable mention Albert Kelly. For the Raiders, this is one I've actually got two honourable mentions for. So my most improved player for the Raiders this year is going to be Xavier Savage, and I do apologise about this camera. I don't know what's going on, but we are going in and out of focus, so that is a bit frustrating. But yes, we do have Xavier Savage there. I've picked him as my most improved. My honourable mentions are Joe Tarpany and Jack Whiten. Now, I think Jack Whiten will come back and have an absolutely blinder of a season. I think Joe Tarpany is going to lead the forward pack well. I think in my opinion, I know this is going to tread on a few NRL fans' feet here, but I think Joe Tarpany is going to have a better year than Josh Papali'i. But yeah, Xavier Savage is my most improved player. I think the other two will be very close, but I think Xavier Savage is going to take his football to another level in 2022. Next up, from the Bulldogs, again, I do have an honourable mention here, but my most improved player is actually Luke Thompson. We've seen glimpses of a brilliant player there in Luke Thompson, but I think his aggression has kind of played a big part in, him not really excelling in the NRL. He's a good forward, but he hasn't taken that level to a great NRL forward. I think he will do that in 2022. So my most improved player for the Bulldogs is Luke Thompson. Matt Burton is my honourable mention. Moving on, we've got Cronulla. I think I'm going to pick Toby Rudolph for this one. So jumping in, probably starting in the front row this year, I think Toby Rudolph's going to get a massive boost in minutes, and I think he will definitely help the forward pack a lot this year. I think he's going to take a massive step forward in his NRL career this season and get the most improved for Cronulla. Moving forward to the Gold Coast Titans, with Jamal Fogarty leaving to go to the Raiders, I think Toby Sexton is going to take the reins there and steer the Titans to more than likely a top 8 performance, or top 8 season. I haven't actually got them in my top 8, but I think if they are going to make the 8, it will be obviously off the back of David Fifita and Tino, but I think Toby's going to have a big year for that to happen, and if it does, he's my most improved, that's for sure. All right, Manly, I have Morgan Harper as my most improved player. I think he's going to absolutely kill it for them in the centres. Obviously, Brendan Elliott has moved on to the Cowboys, so there's not as much competition there for the centres. So I think Morgan Harper's pretty much solidified his spot there in the centres, and I think he will kill it this year. And yeah, most improved player goes to Morgan Harper for Manly, with Ethan Bullimore to be my honourable mention. I think coming over from the Broncos, Ethan will more than likely come off the bench, but I think he's going to have a blinder of a season from the bench. I just think Morgan Harper's going to have a better year. Next up, I've got Xavier Coates from the Melbourne Storm. With Josh Adokar leaving, they do lose a lot of strike power out there on the wing, but they gain just as much with Xavier Coates. And I think under Craig Bellamy, he is going to have a standout year. He is my most improved for Storm. Next up for the Newcastle Knights, replacing Mitchell Pearce, I've got Adam Clune as the most improved player for the Knights. Had glimpses of amazing talent on the Dragons, just couldn't really get that starting spot locked in there for St. George, and moving him over to the Knights, I think was a good idea for Newcastle. So while I don't think the Knights will do all that well this year, I think Adam Clune will definitely improve as a player. I've got him as my most improved for the Knights. Moving forward, we've got from the North Queensland Cowboys. I will say my honourable mention first, and that's Jason Taumalolo. I think JT is going to have a big year for the Cowboys. I think, look, I don't see them making the top 8, but I reckon they're going to be very close. I think around that 9th to 12th sort of spot there up on the ladder. And I think Jason Taumalolo is going to be a big part of that, but he is not my most improved player. My most improved player for the Cowboys is, I'm going to butcher his last name, Murray Tuolagi. He is my most improved. Absolutely killed it for them in the trials. He was good at the tail end of last season. I think he's going to start 2022 off with a bang and finish it with a bang as well. I think he's going to be the Cowboys' most improved. Moving forward to Parramatta. Now, if Parramatta are to have a big year and, make that top 4, which I think's a bit unlikely, this player is going to have a massive season. And no, it's not Mitch Moses. Well, Mitch Moses is going to have a big year for Parramatta. My pick for most improved is actually his right-hand man, Dylan Brown. I think Dylan Brown is going to have a very good season for the Eels. I think he's going to surprise a lot of people. And I've got Dylan Brown as my most improved. From the Penrith Panthers, I do have an honourable mention. This is to more than likely one of their bench players, Jermaine Hopgood. He is my smoky for most improved, but my most improved player for the Panthers is one of their starting forwards, and that is Moses Leota. I think Moses is going to have an amazing season this year for the Panthers, up there in the front row with James Fisher-Harris. So I think both those guys are going to have a standout year. But if we're talking most improved, I definitely think Moses Leota has what it takes to get there. All right, next up, we've got my South Sydney Rabbitohs. Now, there's a lot of players I could pick from here, but I think we're going to see a huge improvement from Campbell Graham, with Dane Gagai leaving the club and not really having that centre spot locked in yet. There's Josiah Karapani that could get it. We've got Tane Milne. There's Jackson Paulo that could slot in there, and Josh Mansour on the wing. There's a lot of players there that could get that other centre spot, and I think a lot of the focus will be for the centres will be on Campbell Graham. So I think he's going to have a massive season for South Sydney. I think defensively he's a great centre. He's good with the ball as well in an attacking sort of role, but I think defensively he's a gun. I've got Cameron Murray. Campbell Graham is my most improved player for the Rabbitohs. Next up for St. George Illawarra, I think this one's pretty easy. Watching him in the trials, he was amazing. That is Talatau Amone. My honourable mention for St. George is Jack Bird. I think Jack Bird filling in that second row lock sort of area is going to be huge for the Dragons and himself. I think they finally found where he fits in to the club. So shout out to Jack Bird there. I'm giving him an honourable mention, but for sure Talatau Amone is definitely my most improved player for the Dragons. Moving forward to the Roosters, I've got Sam Verrills. I think he's going to slot into that dummy half position unless there's someone else that gets there before him. But I definitely think he'll get the nod for that one. So Verrills is my most improved player for the Roosters. That one was pretty straightforward. Moving on, I think this one's easy for the West Tigers. I've got Luciano Leilua. Going to the Cowboys next year, I think he's going to want to have an amazing season for the Tigers. Obviously, I don't see them making the top 8, but if anybody's going to get them there, personally, I think Luciano Leilua is a huge, huge impact for them. I personally have him in my team of the year, but we'll get to that in another video. Finally, from the New Zealand Warriors, I've got Marcelo Montoya. I think with David Fusitu'a leaving and obviously Ken Mamalo leaving mid-season last year, this opens up more playing time for him on the wing. I think he's pretty much cemented his role there on the wing. He was brilliant in the trials, well, in the one trial they played. But yeah, Marcelo Montoya is my most improved for the Warriors. And my honourable mention is Cody Nikorima. So, yeah, guys, let me know what you guys think in the comments. I wanted to try and make this as quick and not as time-consuming as possible. So I didn't really go in depth with a lot of the predictions for me for most improved player. But yeah, guys, let me know what you think. Do you agree with this take? Do you disagree? What players would you swap out, bring in that I've picked that you'd swap out and swap with someone else, I guess? Let me know, guys. I'd love to hear your opinions. But yes, that is going to wrap it up from me, guys. Now, don't forget, I am on a podcast. It's called The Opinionated Aussies, guys. If you could jump over and check that out, it'd mean the absolute world to me. It's 3 Aussie larrikins hosting a podcast all together doing crazy stuff. We've got a new subject we talk about every week. We normally have guests on, so I'd say probably 90% of the episodes we will have a guest on. So, guys, if you could show some love and check that out, that would mean the world to me. But, yeah, without further ado, guys, I guess I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you all so much for watching. And as always, guys, I will see you in the next one. Thanks, guys.